PFL MENA Pride of Arabia, the first PFL MENA card here in 2026 after their first card got postponed just a couple weeks ago. We have finally arrived at the first PFL MENA card of the year from the Coca-Cola Arena from Dubai, UAE. In the main event, in the featherweight division, Muhammad Yahya, the former UFC fighter, makes his debut in the Professional Fighters League to take on Saadi. That's the final of 11 fights on this card. And folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more PFL content here on the channel. Yesterday, we posted our PFL Brussels full card predictions with Patrick Habaroa and Benson Henderson in the main event, so go make sure to check that out. They'll be linked in the description down below. Also on the main channel, Greedo plays daily MLB and daily NBA best bets. Let's go. First of 11 fights on this card. We'll have 6 tournament fights and 1 tournament alternate fight on this card, but our first fight, no tournaments involved. It's actually an amateur fight. Yeah, our first fight's in the amateur ranks. I'm not going to spend more than 2 minutes on this fight as Bouti Alameri takes on Amada Mohammed Osman. I can't imagine there's going to be any betting on this fight. There's not going to be a line on this fight. If you are interested, yes, what I have on the screen right now in terms of the percentages is the percent picked on Tapology. So these are not betting lines or prediction markets at all, but it's getting that out of the way right now. Our first fight again is Bouti Alameri versus Amada Mohammed Osman. I'm going to go with Hamada Mohammed Osman to win the fight. He's fought 4 times in amateur MMA, and to everything I've seen, Bouti Alameri's never fought before. Everything I've seen, this is actually his amateur debut. Sure. I mean, there's no record of him fighting on Sherdog, on Tapology, on anything. He's a jiu-jitsu guy. And nope, never mind. This is not him. I found a website from some UAE thing about a Bouti Alameri being a white belt in jiu-jitsu. That's not him. I can't find anything about this guy. Hamada Mohammed Osman's actually fought before. He's 29. Bouti Alameri is unknown age. Who knows, right? Who knows? Don't bet it. If you somehow find a prediction market or a bet on this fight, don't touch it. Don't touch it at all. I'm going Amada Mohammed Osman to win. He's 3-1 in amateur MMA. His last win coming in January of this year against Youssef Reda Mohammed, winning the fight by first round TKO. It's amateur MMA. It's going to be 3 3-minute rounds, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 3 3-minute rounds. I don't know. Amada Mohammed Osman wins. We are literally not concerned at all about this fight. I'll go Osman to win by decision. Again, do not bet it in the slightest. Going on now to our second fight on the card. Let's go to now a professional mixed martial arts debut for both fighters in our second fight as Albrahim takes on Khaled Mahmoud in our first professional mixed martial arts fight on the card. Albrahim, I'll tell you, is supposed to win the fight. I'll just tell you that outright. Albrahim is making his second walk into the PFL Smart Cage as he debuted for the PFL last year in 2025 in a spot where there actually was a betting line. He was a -670 favorite in amateur MMA. Wow. We knew he was going to win. He was fighting, again, in PFL MENA. Card was in Saudi Arabia. He was the local Saudi guy, and he won expectedly, right? The PFL does this a lot, and you're going to see this throughout the course of this card. There are fighters who are supposed to win. Oh, this is one of them. Again, if the PFL is booking you in an amateur mixed martial arts fight, and I don't know what the direction they're going in for the first fight is, I guess it's Osman. Actually, the guy he's fighting is from the UAE. Hold on. Sorry, I might need to take Bouti Alameri in the first fight. But I literally can't find anything about that guy. No, I'm going to keep it on Osman, I think. I don't know. It's amateur MMA. I might have more on that in a little bit. I'm just going to keep thinking about that. Albrahim, though, is, from Saudi Arabia. They booked him in an amateur fight where he was supposed to win the amateur fight. He does it. He wins the fight pretty easily. He gets it done in the second round, via TKO last year in December. Now he's making his professional mixed martial arts debut against Khaled Mahmoud, who only went 1-1 in amateur MMA. Okay, the consensus around amateur MMA is take as many fights as you need until you feel like you're officially ready to fight professional mixed martial arts. Because then, when you fight amateur ranks, those fights don't matter, right? Those fights, the losses don't count. They're technically going on your amateur record, but ultimately they don't stay with you your entire career. Mahmoud fought twice. He fought twice in 2025. His last, amateur fight, he fought Nader Mustafa and got submitted in the third round with an armbar. And now all of a sudden and immediately he's jumping in to mixed martial arts. Sorry, professional mixed martial arts. Excuse me. I don't love it. I'm going to go with, Ahmed Albrahim to win. He's expected to win with his first fight or his last fight being in the PFL. And already, again, if you were booked we saw this with a couple other fighters as well. Malik Bashir, we saw this with in the PFL. They had him fight amateur fights and obviously Muhammad Ali's grandson as well. We've seen these guys fight amateur fights in the PFL, and then eventually when they're ready, okay, then they go and fight professional ranks. This is exactly what this is. They were trying to book Abraham up to get him on the amateur card or get him his final amateur fight in the PFL. Now he can fight professional for them. He's going to beat Mahmoud quite easily. I'm going to go first round knockout. I'm going to go first round knockout. He gets 5-minute rounds now. I'm going to go Ahmed to get it done. Not fighting at home anymore, right? Fights in UAE, not in Saudi Arabia, but still, he's the guy who's supposed to win, and he should get it done. Give me Ahmed Abraham by first round TKO. Going on to our third fight, we move to a matchup now in the flyweight division. Ahmad Marhoon takes on Qasmieh. I'm learning a bunch of new fighters today. I'm gonna be honest with you. Or like leading up to this video, I'm learning a lot of new fighters. I'll be honest. I feel like I know enough about American regional mixed martial arts to I know what's going on in Fury and Cage Fury and all these promotions. At least I have an idea and a sense of who their best guys in their promotion are. I'm not well versed into Middle Eastern regional talent. So again, I'm trying here with these guys. I know who Ahmad Marhoon is. He's fought in PFL MENA before, won in 2025 against Walid Ghanem. It was a fight where two guys made their pro debuts. Didn't know much about either guy at the time. Marhoon, who was coming off of back-to-back amateur losses in 2024, makes his pro debut in late 2025 and picks up a first-round submission victory. Great. Now we get Qasmieh, Qasmieh fighting out of Jordan, the 5'4", 125-pounder. So Marhoon is going to have a massive size advantage in this fight. Marhoon is 5'9", Qasmieh is just 5'4". Qasmieh in his third pro fight, though, picked up back-to-back wins by guillotine choke to start off his pro career, both in the first round in August of 2025 and in February of 2026, most recently again over Karim Imad. That's a 1 minute and 17-second submission. Qasmieh actually has fought in PFL before. He did fight an amateur bout against the aforementioned Malik Bashir, who, again, the PFL gave him multiple fights in amateur MMA, and now he's fighting, of course, in professional mixed martial arts for PFL MENA. He's 3-0 in the promotion. We'll see when he's fighting next. But Bashir did fight Qasmieh, and Bashir beat him by unanimous decision. Again, it's an amateur fight, though, and ultimately, amateur fights do not matter. So the PFL brings back Qasmieh after winning his first two pro fights against Ahmad Marhoon, who is just the way bigger guy and has already won a fight now in the PFL, at least in a professional manner. Again, it's difficult to predict these fights considering, both guys are very young into their careers. I mean, Marhoon's second walk into a professional cage, Qasmieh his third. We'll see who gets it here. I'm going to go Ahmad Marhoon. I'm looking at the Tapology votes, and 82% of voters are taking Qasmieh. I don't really understand. I liked what we got out of Marhoon's last fight. Qasmieh's going to look to grapple too. I just like the bigger fighter in general as well here in Marhoon. Qasmieh, at least from what I remember in the Bashir fight, really looked like a small 125-pounder, and there's nowhere else to go beyond 125 at, in pro mixed martial arts. I mean, I guess there's some promotion that do offer a male straw weight. You barely see it, but some regionals will have it. It's just he feels like a really small fighter at 125, and that's, again, crazy. I think Marhoon should win. He should have a strength advantage, and that should play a big factor when we see some grappling exchanges. I'm going to go with Marhoon to get it done. Give me the fighter from Bahrain to win the fight. I'm going to go decision for Ahmad Marhoon in the fight. Again, grapple-heavy bout. Next up, we go to a tournament alternate fight. So again, we're going to get into the tournaments in a second, but first, here's an alternate bout between Abdullah Saleem fighting out of Kuwait, taking on the Egyptian fighter in Basil Shalaan. A fight where Topology voters are pretty split on. 56% of the vote currently going on Basil Shalaan. 44% of the voters going with the White Gorilla in Abdullah Saleem. So again, the winner of this fight not in the lightweight tournament for the PFL, but if there is a dropout, then the winner will advance to that. Saleem, 5-1 as a professional fighter, did fight once in the PFL back in 2025, lost to 7-6 Sulil Tulari, lost the fight by first round knockout. Second round knockout, excuse me. Don't love that. Saleem did win a fight in PFL back in 2024 where he picked up a submission victory over Omar Rejoui, but That fight did get overturned. Saleem was a big favorite going into it, but he failed a drug test. He took steroids for the fight, so his win got overturned. It is now a no contest, and of course comes back in 2025 and loses. I'm a little surprised the PFL has brought him back again, drug test and all, or failed drug test and all. You come back and you lose, and they give him another opportunity in 2025. You lose, and now he's back. Now Basile Shalaan's a guy who never fought in the PFL, but is 6-1, coming off a knockout victory in 2023. So this begs the question, how good is Basile Shalaan? He does have a loss to John Mitchell, who just lost to Zainikov in his last fight in 2025, and Mitchell beat him by third round TKO, but none of the Basile Shalaan wins are all that great. His last win comes over Mohamed Mitwili, who that was his first pro fight for Mohamed in 2023 and his last pro fight. Again, it's been 3 years since Basile Shalaan has just fought. And now he's taken on Abdullah Saleem, who I understand, again, did not impress in his last fight and failed a drug test in his fight prior, but here he goes against a guy who hasn't fought anybody yet. I will tell you, though, Basile Shalaan is 23, so that is the optimism around him. The problem is, why aren't you fighting when you're 21 and 22? I mean, again, it's not too late. You're 23. It's much younger than a bunch of fighters even get on this type of stage, but fought so much early in his career. I mean, this guy made his pro debut in 2020. If I'm not, he was 17 when he made his pro debut, and he doesn't fight at all in the last 2 years. A little confusing. I just don't know how good he is. Because, yeah, the one fight that he fought against a good fighter, he ran it. We'll get into one in a second. He fought John Mitchell in 2022 and lost. He did fight Noah Thomas in 2022. I don't know, how did this fight get put together? Fought Noah Thomas in Egypt. Noah Thomas, who fought in the WEC, hadn't fought in 13 years, and he fought Basile Shalaan. How Ultimate Fighter season 5 in 2007. How the hell did this fight happen? Noah Thomas fought Scott Georgeson back in 2009, and then he fought again as a 42-year-old against Basile Shalaan. How did this happen? I didn't put 2 and 2 together when I was looking at this earlier. Give me Basile Shalaan. Not because he beat a 44-year-old Noah Thomas. No, it's because if you're getting fights like that, then I think that you're supposed to be something in mixed martial arts, I'll tell you that. Like, promotions are booking you to win, you're supposed to win, okay. That's all I need to see. Basile Shalaan wins by decision. On to our next fight in the lightweight division. We go to now a tournament fight between George Eid, and Hussein Fakher. The Lebanese fighter, in Eid, the Lebanese bulldozer, returns to the PFL. He's had a PFL career, let's say. Taking on Hussein Fakher, who is 7-4. Hussein fighting out of Iraq, 35 years of age, making his PFL debut. Was booked against George Eid earlier in the year. Of course, that was the fight that got canceled, or the card that got canceled, and now Fakher is back. This is a guy that's coming off a win in IDFC in Iraq. I'll be honest, I don't know how good the Iraqi regional talent is. I can't imagine it's the best. He's fought a bunch of guys who his fights have been flagged for legitimacy issues in the past. George Eid has been very around the PFL. This is a guy who's been fighting the PFL since 2024. He's 2-2 in the promotion. Beat Abbas Khan in 2024. Beat Omar as well by knockout. Did fight in 2024 for the PFL championship against Mohamed Sefi. Lost the fight by unanimous decision in a 5-round fight. Then got another chance in 2025. Lost in the first round by Darce choke to Mohamed Fahmi. And then just picked up a win in UAE Warriors against a 10-10 fighter in December of 2025. But now Eid is back, and I do think the experience is going to take him a long way in this bout. I'm looking at Hussein Fakher, and again, it is difficult, I will tell you, to find tape on a lot of these fighters. Again, I've watched the Lebanese bulldozer fight before, but for Hussein Fakher, I've not seen him fight. Like, I've seen very limited tape on him. Never watched him fight live, obviously, and he's 35, from Iraq. Don't know how good the Iraqi regional scene is, but I can't imagine it's the best. I mean, he's fighting guys who are 1-0, 2-5, and 2-2 prior to making his PFL debut. Again, that's not the best talent. Let's just be real with each other here. He's got a bunch of wins on his record against guys who, again, have been flagged on Tapology for either not being real fighters or fighters who have thrown bouts. He's been fighting in either Iraqi or Iranian regional scenes, regional promotions. Come on now. I got to go with George Eid to win the bout. I think this is very one-sided at that, too. Maybe, Hussein surprises me, but you're 35. George Eid's 35, too. But I'm going to take the guy who's fought 4 times in PFL and coming off a victory as well in UAE Warriors, rather than a guy who's fought in a bunch of random regionals you've never heard of against guys who have their Tapology profiles as completely flagged as something sketchy. I'm going to go with George Eid to win the bout. I think he takes it by decision. I would not be surprised if there's a late finish in here, but Eid's not the most dominant finisher. Could he get a knockout here? Maybe. I'm going to go decision to play it safe. Give me the Lebanese fighter to get it done, again, by decision. Going on to our next fight, staying now in the lightweight tournament, as our next matchup comes between Ahmed El Sisy and Arda Karim. Karim fighting out of Norway, originally from Kurdistan, taking on the Egyptian in Ahmed El Sisy in our second fight again in the PFL tournament. El Sisy coming into this bout after fighting twice last year in PFL MENA, lost his initial bout to Mohamed Sifi, who of course is the former champion over in PFL MENA, did lose to Fahmi last year in his second fight. But anyways, El Sisy fights Mohsen in his first fight, then beats Abbas Khan in his next fight in PFL MENA. Abbas Khan, though, I will tell you, again, we said lost to Eid earlier on in his run, and just a guy who, again, had lost quite a bit in PFL MENA, but, credit where credit is due. El Sisy does win the bout, and now he's here for his third year in the PFL, second year in the PFL, taking on Arda Karim. Karim never fought in the PFL before. He's fought in CFL and MEFC, and again, this is the problem at times with PFL MENA. I just don't know how good these guys are, because from what I've seen out of Karim, he has looked good. He's been knocking guys out, but you're beating guys who have had zero experience in mixed martial arts. His one fight he had in UAE Warriors, he beat a guy who was 5-7. Karim is 30 years of age, looks good in the fight tape that I've seen out of the guy, but again, just truly, how good are you? Because you're not fighting good fighters in the regional scene. Not all the time is that the fighter's fault. They're just given, they fight who they're given. They fight who's put in front of them, but I just don't know how well tested you are. El Sisy has a win over Abbas Khan, who is a PFL fighter in his own right, but Abbas Khan went 0-3 in the PFL, so I can't really put too much weight on that. El Sisy, prior to the PFL, kind of had that same, regional scene record as Arda Karim. Karim fighting in the MEFC promotion, same promotion that El Sisy fought in prior to the PFL. It's just really hard to gauge where each guy is at. No, especially Arda Karim. Again, we know El Sisy, lost to Mohamed Sifi and then beat Abbas Khan. I can kind of, gauge where he's at. I have no idea where Karim's at. So I kind of have to look at the fights that Karim has had and, kind of compare them to El Sisi's bouts and think, okay, how is Karim going to match up in this style of fight? Ever so slightly, I'm going to go Arda Karim to win. He has looked in the fights that he's had. Again, I just don't know how good these opponents are. But I will say, El Sisy fought the same level of guys prior to the PFL as well. And I don't think his fights looked as impressive as Arda High Tech's, the nickname, Karim's fights have looked. I think we're going to see a striking fight. I mean, both guys, again, are more than willing to engage in those striking matches. Neither guy really looks to shoot for takedowns at all. I don't think I've ever seen El Sisy shoot a takedown off the top of my head. He doesn't really do that. He's a primary kickboxer. Karim is as well. Should see striking the entire way, and I'm going to go with the Kurdistani fighter to get it done. First round knockout victory here for Arda Karim in his PFL debut. He's on the opposite side of the bracket of Eid and Fakher, but I'm going to go with Karim to win the bout. We'll talk about his potential next opponent later on. On to our next bout, we move to a matchup again here in the lightweight division, and there you go. This is the winner of this fight is going to win the fight. He's going to fight the winner of our last bout between El Sisy and Karim, which we expect to beat Karim. Here is Mohamed Fahmi taking on Asim Ghanem here. The entire card's the main card. I thought this was the main card opener. Regardless, it's just one card the entire way through. Regardless, this is a pretty good fight, I think. I know the Tapology picks, you got 83% taking Ghanem and you got 17% taking Fahmi. I do think Fahmi's got a better chance than just 17% to winning the fight outright. Fahmi's only losses to Salah Hamli, who we are going to see later on in this card. I've spoken very high praise about Hamli in the past. I think he's probably the best fighter PFL MENA currently has. Al-Qada, but is Al-Qada still fighting in PFL MENA? I don't know. Of course, El-Dafri has graduated from PFL MENA as well. I would argue Hamli's the best guy they have at PFL MENA, and that's the only loss in the career so far out of Mohamed Fahmi. Now, who has he beaten at 155 in the PFL? Well, George Eid, who we've talked about before, and Mohamed Sifi as well. Two fights where Fahmi's a plus 200 and plus 300 underdog in both. And of course, yeah, he runs into Hamli and he loses as only a plus 160 underdog, but still, Now he's back for a second season, taking on Ghanem. Ghanem, the Egyptian fighter, 5'11", coming out of his last win in 2025 over Hussein Saleem, winning the fight by unanimous decision. Fought in Kata MMA prior, was originally booked to fight Yanis Gamoni in the semifinals last year of the featherweight tournament. He had to withdraw from the fight. Now he's up fighting at 155. This is pure speculation. Was he going to miss weight? I just don't know. Did he not think he can make the weight for that fight, and now that's why he's up at 155? I just do not know. But Ghanem did win his first fight, and again, being a 5'11" featherweight, that's difficult, of course. Got to cut a lot of weight, and not like Ghanem's, a really, I don't know, it's not like he's a Slenderman type guy. Kind of, but does carry some muscle, felt like he carried a little bit of weight at 145. Now coming up to 55 probably is the best move for him. Taking on Muhammad Fahmi, who's not a walk in the park, has really good jiu-jitsu. Darce choke win over Eid. Rear naked choke win over Mohamed Sifi. This is a competitive one. Ghanem, though, did look really good in his first fight. His hands are not bad. I think that's where he's probably going to see his most success. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Hamli submitted Fahmi, but again, Hamli's just really good. This should be really competitive for me. I'm going to go ever so slightly with Ghanem to win by decision. I do think he's got the advantage definitely on the feet, and I do think on the ground it's definitely Fahmi. I will tell you, Ghanem is the much taller fighter, but I don't know if this is right. He's got a 70-inch reach at 5'11", and Fahmi's got a 72-inch reach at 5'7". Regardless, I do think that's where, Ghanem's the better striker. Fahmi's the better grappler. Who's going to prevail? I'm going to go with the striker winning this fight, even though, again, I would not put my money on it. I just think Ghanem's got good enough defensive wrestling from what I have seen to keep the fight standing, and he should be able to win the fight in a striking range. So I'm going to go with the Egyptian fighter to get it done. He is undefeated. Fahmi's lost before. Give me the 5-0 Ghanem to remain undefeated with a decision victory over Mohamed Fahmi. Going on to our next fight, this is not a tournament fight. This is a special showcase bout at 115 pounds between Zazam Al-Hammadi taking on Abir Mansour. I'll be honest, again, going into breaking down this card, I was not familiar with either fighter because, well, why would I be? Both of them are making their professional mixed martial arts debuts. Al-Mahdi 2-0 in the amateur ranks, and Mansour 2-1 in the regional ranks. Guys, here, I'll tell you who's going to win. Oh, that's the wrong graphic. Nope, that too. Sorry. There you go. Zazam Al-Mahdi is on the poster. Again, for a fight like this, I don't know much about either fighter, and I'll tell you a little bit that I know about Al-Mahdi in a second. I don't know much about her opponent, I'll tell you that. She's on the poster. She's going to win. That's all you need to see, guys. She's on the poster. She is going to win the bout. She's taking on Mansour in this fight, Abir Mansour, who is 2-1 as an amateur, 24 years of age, 5 feet tall. I just say that because usually fighters are a little taller than 5 feet tall, but it's okay. Al-Mahdi, from what I know, good grappling. That's really all I know. Her 2 victories in the regional scene were both by submission, one by an armbar, one by a Kimura. Taken on Abir Mansour from Hell Team Mixed Martial Arts over in Egypt. I think Ahmadi's going to submit her in the first round. And I'll tell you this too. Ahmadi's from the UAE. The UAE fighters are probably going to win. And again, she's on the poster. She's expected to win. That's the truth of the matter. They're giving her a layup. You can tell, again, and we'll tell you this is what the PFL does. They book fights so a certain fighter can win, so they can start to push that fighter, and that can be their new star of their regional promotion. That's what Al-Mahdi's going to start to be. They put her on the poster. They expect big things. That means she's going to win, and they've given her a fight that they expect her to go out there and easily control. So she'll take down Abir Mansour pretty quickly, and she'll find a way to a back or an arm or whatever. Maybe it'll look like Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano, I don't know. But Al-Mahdi's going to find a quick finish, and this one's going to be over pretty soon. So pretty quickly into the fight. So give me Zamzam, I think her name is, Zamzam Al-Hammadi to win the fight over Abir Mansour. I'm going to go first round submission for the fighter out of the UAE, defeating the Egyptian fighter, again, likely with an armbar, Americana, Kimura, something like that. It's going to be an arm something finish for Al-Mahdi picking up the win. Going now on to the featherweight tournament. We leave the lightweight tournament. We're going to go back to that in a second. But first, the featherweight tourney. So the way this card's been structured, you get all 4 of the lightweight tournament fights, and you get 2 of the featherweight fights. And of course, the next PFL MENA card's in about a month's time. You'll get all of the welterweight fights on that card, plus 2 more featherweight bouts as well. Okay, Amza Kuji taking on Taha Bendaoud in this bout. Taha training out of Las Vegas, Nevada, but originally from Morocco, taking on the fighter from Bahrain in Hamza Kooheji in this bout. Taha has fought in PFL MENA before. This is an experienced PFL fighter whose only loss does come to Islam Reda. Reda, who was 13-1 at the time, 15-1 at the time, who ended up becoming, of course, the featherweight champion last year for PFL MENA after defeating Yanis Gamori. Now, where is Islam Reda, you might ask? I don't know. He's not booked for a fight yet, but whatever. That's Taha's only loss. 2 fights prior, he beat Tariq Ismail on a PFL Super Fights card, on the Battle the Giants card with Ferreira and Ngannou, and then won again in PFL MENA in 2025 against Drissi Bolim. From what we've seen out of Taha, great jiu-jitsu, great submissions. He wants to get the fight down. He's looking to, of course, find a way to submit you down there. Now, Hamza Kooheji, the fighter from Bahrain, making his PFL debut on this card, has fought in Brave before. He's had 12 fights over there. Did go 9-3, but is coming off of his first loss in Brave to Borislav Nikolic, where he did fight a 5-round main event against Nikolic for the championship and did lose by TKO at the very end of the 4th. But Kooheji's fought some good guys in Brave. Again, though, that's a real question. Where does the competition in Brave, like the top Brave guys, stack up to the top guys in PFL MENA? It's close. It really is. And I do think this fight does come down to a stylistical matchup. I do think Kooheji is going to have an advantage on the feet, but at the same time, I do believe Taha is going to have a very clear advantage on the ground. I'm going to go with Taha to win. I do think, again, here's how I'm going to, from what I've seen at Hamza, okay, is Taha more competitive on the feet or is Hamza more competitive on the ground? I think Taha is more competitive on the feet. Like, I think Taha is going to be able to compete on the feet until he finally, locks up, gets a body lock or finds the clinch and drags the fight down, in comparison to Kooheji trying to compete in the grappling realm and trying to stay out of submissions. I think eventually Taha is going to sub this guy. I've not been too impressed with what I've seen out of Kooheji. I saw some of his last fight. Again, he gets finished at the end of it in the 4th. I don't think Taha is going to drown him like, what happened in his fight in Brave for the championship, but I do think Taha wins. I'm going to go barely. Also, I will say, Hamza is the older fighter. Taha has been fighting PFL, for the last couple years. I think Bendaoud wins it by 2nd round sub. Could be completely wrong on that one, but I do think Taha will take it. On to our co-main event. Here it comes now. By far, in my opinion, the best fighter in PFL MENA. That is Salah Hamli. Hamli 11-0. I think potentially should be fighting, beyond PFL MENA and, actually in the PFL, regular promotion, but they're going to give him one more year in PFL MENA. He is by far the favorite to win the lightweight tournament. He will be fighting, the winner of this fight, the winner of this fight, will be fighting and awaiting the winner of George Eid versus Hussein Fakher, which we expect to be Eid. But here's the reigning champion at 155 pounds in Salah Hamli, the fighter from Morocco, but out training out of Spain. 6-foot lightweight who drowns you on the ground. Good wrestling, good grappling. Last year, 3 for 3 with victories, but all 3 of these fights, submission victories. The Abbas Khan fight, 3rd round submission with the rear naked choke. Sula Tadi fight, 3rd round arm triangle choke. The Mohamed Fahmi fight for the championship, 2nd round Darce choke finish. And now they've given him a more difficult opponent, I believe, and an experienced fighter in his 36th professional fight. 34th professional fight. I apologize, math is hard. In Yilis Jujan, coming over from France, a fighter who has fought twice in the PFL before back in 2019, fought Islam Mamedov in 2019, as well as Luik Radzobov. Both fights were competitive, lost both, though, by split decision. Did fight Sam Patterson after in Brave and lost. Recently did fight for the Aries FC Championship, did lose it to Josh O'Connor, lost the fight to Josh O'Connor, who's still undefeated at 10-0. Would not be surprised if you see him soon on the Contender Series. Yile's last fight, he did win by submission over Antonio Roberto in Aries FC. Okay, so what I've seen out of Yile's, really good jiu-jitsu. Hands aren't that great. I'll tell you, I think he's going to struggle with the wrestling. And I do just think Salah Hamli is the bigger fighter and the stronger fighter. Maybe Yile's, straight jiu-jitsu will be able to keep him a little bit competitive in this fight, but I think Hamli's just going to be able to control wherever this fight goes. If Salah Amli went to Brave, I don't know if he'd win the championship, but he'd be right there too, right? Like this is a premier guy that the PFL has, and a guy that again ran through the competition last year in PFL MENA, and they're taking, I guess, the Dakota ditch of a track with him, give him multiple years to win things, to win in PFL Europe or PFL MENA compared to ditch of his PFL Europe, and then bring him up to the main promotion. That's exactly what this is here. He's going to get another year under his belt. He's only 27. He'll still be in his prime next year when they give him tougher and better opponents at 28. But you have seen now, right, with this fight, still fighting PFL MENA, but they're giving him arguably the second best guy in this tournament. Like, I do think Yahya's Dijiroun, from what I've seen, is probably the second best guy in this thing. Again, has fought in PFL twice before in 2019, fought competitive fights against both Mamedov and Radzobov and lost both by split decision, fought Sam Patterson in the past, and coming into this bout, he's won 7 out of his last 8 fights. Again, though, Hamli is like the most difficult fight you can ask for in PFL MENA, and for a guy in Yahya's who primarily is going to grapple with you, I think Hamli, that's just where he wants to be. In terms of wrestling, I like Hamli a little bit better. So I'm going to go, actually a lot better. I'm going to go Salah Hamli to win the fight. I think he's going to submit Yahya in the second round. I think it's just what he's done to everybody. I'm going to go second round sub for Salah Hamli, by far the biggest one of his career. And yes, he's won the PFL MENA championship before. This one would take precedence over everything else. I'm going to go Hamli to win the fight by second round submission. On to our main event in the featherweight division. It is the former UFC fighter Muhammad Yahya taking on Saadi. This is in the featherweight tournament now, and of course we did have one fight earlier in the featherweight tournament between Taha and Kooheji. Now we go back to 145 for Muhammad Yahya and Saadi. Should be interesting because Yahya back in UAE. Well, hell, that's the only place he fights, as the UFC continuously had Yahya fight in the UAE, as this guy was the UAE Warriors champion. He's Mr. UAE. The nickname is legitimately the UAE Warrior. Like, he's the guy, like, right? UAE Warriors. No, he is not just one of the UAE Warriors in the promotion. No, he is the UAE Warrior, Muhammad Yahya. Former champion over there, defended the belt a couple times, came into the UFC first fight, lost to Trevor Peek in UAE. Okay, lost by decision. Second fight, fights Cal Fernandez in the UAE. Loses by knockout in the first round. Then gets Stephen Nguyen in his third fight back in the UAE. Loses by doctor stoppage at the end of the second round. Okay. And his eye was messed up in the Stephen Nguyen fight. Don't know how that fight didn't get stopped earlier. That was absurd stuff. Anyways, Yahya's back, and he's taken on Saadi now to make his PFL debut. Now, Yahya wasn't that good in the UFC, but I will tell you, I mean, you're taking a guy who I believe this is where Muhammad Yahya is best. PFL MENA. This is where he can be competitive, and this is where potentially Muhammad Yahya can legitimately win a regional championship. This is a perfect landing spot for him. The UFC is not a good spot for him, though, and we've established that, right? I mean, that was way too much for him. They got him because he's really popular in UAE. There's a reason he's headlining this card, by the way. He's really popular. He's a big name out there. The fans really like him. He's just not that great at fighting for the UFC's level. Now, for PFL MENA, he can be competitive and he can win. 31 years of age for Muhammad Yahya, right? The UAE Warrior, former UAE Warriors champion. Now taking on Saadi, the 33-year-old Frenchman who did challenge for the Aries FC Championship back in 2023, won his last fight in 2024. It's his last fight in January, if I'm not mistaken. January of 2024 against Jalal Aldaja. Aldaja did get 2 fights in the PFL, lost both of them to Tariq Ismail and Ali Taleb. Got knocked out by Ali Taleb in the first round of his last fight. Lost to Adam Miskini as well in PFL UAE Warriors. But anyways, Aldaja is like a 50-50 fighter too. But Saadi finished Aldaja in his last fight in January of 2024. Has been booked multiple times in the PFL in 2024, in 2025, and already in 2026. But now he lands on Muhammad Yahya to kick off the tournament. Now I will say, will Saadi even get to the fight? I don't know. He's had 5 canceled fights since his last bout. So we'll see if this one even actually materializes into a fight. But if it does, ever so slightly, give me Muhammad Yahya. It feels like a fight that's set up for Yahya. I'll tell you why. Okay, if Yahya can keep the fight standing, he should win. I think he should. I've looked at Saadi's striking game. It's not that great. Now, do I think Yahya can get a finish? Probably not. He's not a guy that's going to, knock you out probably. But I've watched Saadi. His striking game, to me, from what I've seen in most of his fights, he just throws really hard on the feet, but doesn't have much technique behind it. So if Yahya is able to avoid the knockout, I think he should be able to dance around him and probably win a decision. If it's close, they're going to give it to the UAE Warrior. Grappling-wise, Saadi's good down there. I think Yahya can stuff the takedowns. That wasn't really a big concern out of Yahya in his UFC run. Was he couldn't stuff takedowns? No, it was just he uses face as a he blocked punches with his face, so his face was a punching bag for his opponents. But again, those are high level UFC guys, and now this is a more appropriate spot for Yahya to fight. And if he can't win this one, another fight at the Coca-Cola Arena in UAE. If you can't win this one, pal, in Dubai, I don't know what to say. Okay? I don't know what to say. If you can't win this one, I don't know what fight you're ever going to win in mixed martial arts. Maybe go back to UAE Warriors where you can be the UAE Warrior again, but it's a fight that's set up for him to win. He can win on the feet. He can win in exchanges, and it's not a fight that I'm really too concerned about him getting knocked out. Saadi's going to throw hard early. I don't think it's enough, though. I don't think he's got, enough skill to put away Yahya early in the bout. Muhammad Yahya has been on major scales, major events before. Think he comes into a main event at home, crowd behind him, and finds a way to win. Muhammad Yahya gets it done by unanimous decision in our main event. Folks, thank you all for watching our PFL MENA predictions here on the channel. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back next week for our UFC predictions. We're back, UFC Macau, China, and we will be back with the PFL in a couple weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, PFL Africa. In just a couple weeks' time over in Nigeria. So we'll be back for that later in a couple weeks. Folks, thank you all for watching. Make sure that subscribe button down below for more. And Mamba forever.